My name is Vivian Crawford. I'm 36 years old. And the moment I understood my family could smile while quietly removing me from their lives happened just 2 days before Thanksgiving. I wasn't eavesdropping. I wasn't looking for conflict. I was simply standing in the hallway outside my mother's kitchen holding a bottle of wine I had brought out of habit when I heard my sister laugh, that polished, charming laugh she used to disguise cruelty. Then she said, "Don't invite her. Adrian doesn't need to sit through awkward conversation with someone who just works at a museum." My mother sighed, the kind of sigh that usually meant she was about to give in, and she did. Just like that, I was erased from Thanksgiving. No hesitation, no defense. No one said my name. A few minutes later, the message arrived. "We're keeping dinner very intimate this year. We'll celebrate another time." Another time. That was always the phrase they used to make exclusion sound considerate. So on Thanksgiving Day, while my family hosted their perfect, polished dinner for my sister's rising political fiancé, I sat alone in my apartment, eating reheated food. My phone kept lighting up with photos, crystal glasses, golden turkey, effortless smiles, the kind people put on when they know they're being watched. I told myself I shouldn't be hurt, that I was too old for this. But 3 weeks later, my sister called as if nothing had happened. Now suddenly I had to attend Adrian's campaign gala because family optics mattered. I almost refused. I should have. But if I had, I would have missed the moment everything changed. The exact second he glanced at my badge, went pale, and realized he had no idea who I really was. Thanksgiving itself wasn't the deepest wound. The real pain was knowing my absence had been convenient. Not because I was difficult. Not because I was distant. But because in my family I had been reduced to a single sentence. Vivian works at a museum. That was it. Clean, harmless, forgettable. What they never bothered to understand was that I didn't just work at a museum, I led one. I was the president and CEO of a major institution. I managed hundreds of staff, multi-million-dollar budgets, donor relations, education programs, and partnerships that impacted entire communities. My work helped shape access to science and education for thousands of children. But none of that glittered in the way my sister valued. Celeste preferred titles that impressed at dinner: law, politics, finance, things that sounded powerful when spoken aloud. To her, my work was too quiet, too meaningful, too invisible. And my mother? She never questioned that version of me. She never asked what I actually did, never showed real curiosity. She accepted the smallest, simplest version of my life because it fit neatly beside the image my sister had built. And eventually, I stopped correcting them, not because I was ashamed, but because explaining myself started to feel like asking for respect I shouldn't have had to earn. So when Celeste called about the gala, I knew exactly what I was to her. Not a sister, a prop, something to place in the background when it suited her narrative. She gave me 4 days' notice. No apology, no acknowledgement of Thanksgiving, just instructions. Keep it simple, smile, don't go into detail about your work. This night is about Adrian. An invitation and a dismissal in the same breath. For a few hours I decided I wouldn't go, but then I realized if I stayed home, she would keep telling my story for me. So I went. The gala was everything you'd expect: elegant, calculated, full of influence disguised as casual conversation. My sister was exactly where she wanted to be, visible, admired, in control. When she saw me, her expression shifted into something warm enough for others, but measured enough for me to understand. "You look appropriate," she said. "Appropriate. Not beautiful, not welcome, just acceptable." Then she added quietly, "Don't wander off. There are people I want you to meet, but nothing too deep." Adrian greeted me politely, not dismissive, just unaware, exactly as she had designed. "This is my sister Vivian," Celeste told him. "She works at a museum, mostly behind the scenes." And just like that, my entire life was reduced again, neatly packaged for his understanding. For the next hour, I watched her perform. Every smile, every laugh, every carefully chosen word, it was all deliberate. She spoke about community, education, and service with polished confidence, borrowing ideas she had never lived. And when real conversation finally entered the room about funding, partnerships, access, I saw it happen. She stepped into a discussion she didn't fully understand. And that's when everything shifted. A donor turned to me and asked, "And you are?" I reached into my coat, pulled out my card, and handed it to her. "Vivian Crawford." She looked down, then back up, and everything in her expression changed. "Dr. Crawford," she said, surprised. "I didn't realize you'd be here." That was the moment. Adrian looked at my badge. His face went pale. "You're the president and CEO?" he asked slowly. "Yes." Silence. Then the donor added, almost incredulously, "You lead one of the most important science institutions in the state." More people turned. The energy shifted. Attention redirected. Celeste tried to recover. "Oh, Vivian's just very modest," she laughed. But it was too late. Adrian looked at her, really looked this time. "You told me she worked in a support role." "I said she worked at the museum." "At the institute," I corrected calmly. "And I run it." From that moment on, the room changed. Questions came to me, real ones about education, funding, impact, and I answered, not to prove anything, but because this was the world I actually belonged to, and for the first time that night, I didn't shrink. I didn't adjust. I didn't translate myself into something smaller. I simply stood there as who I had always been. And as Adrian turned to Celeste and quietly asked, "Why didn't you tell me any of this?" I realized something. The version of me she had controlled for years no longer existed in that room. And for the first time, she wasn't the one shaping the story anymore.